So today the recipe is shepherd's pie. It's one of the simplest and least expensive family meals that you could possibly make, and it's absolutely delicious. And so now I'm going to go with the ingredients for you. You need 1 pound of ground beef. You need a stick of real butter, not margarine. Margarine is blasphemy. Don't use margarine. It's bad for you. You need about 10 to 12 slices of this. Use the American cheese. If it says American cheese food, that's the wrong thing to use. It won't melt properly. It's not good for you. It's one molecule away from being plastic. Okay, and then whole milk. Okay, don't use skim milk. Okay, Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation says that skim milk is just water pretending to be milk, and I happen to agree with him. So use whole milk. I've got a small 8-ounce can of drained golden whole kernel corn. I've got a 14-ounce can of peas and carrots, drained. I'm not going to drain the tomatoes, okay, but you want a 14-ounce can of petite diced tomatoes. And I'm going to be using instant potatoes because I'm feeling really lazy today and it's kind of hot today and I really don't feel like making potatoes from scratch. And so there they are. And you're going to need water and milk, of course, for the mashed potatoes. And the recipe that I follow for making the mashed potatoes is, of course, on the back of the box. That's going to be really hard. Okay, I use the recipe for making 8 servings. Okay, it calls for butter, okay, but I don't use butter in the mashed potatoes. What I do instead is I take a stick of butter, oh there it is, and I chop it up, and I'm going to melt that, and at the end I'm going to place it on top of the mashed potatoes, okay, and then I'm going to put the whole mixture in the oven, okay, and that butter on top of the potatoes keeps the potatoes from burning. You're going to need a full chopped onion. I did a rough chop on that. And you're going to need Worcestershire sauce, of course, maybe a couple of tablespoons. And I think I've gone through all the ingredient list. Did I miss anything? No, I don't think I did. Okay, so I'm going to do some stuff and then I'm going to come right back. Stay tuned. Okay, let's see what we have here. I've reduced everything to its lowest common denominator. I have done the ground beef with onions. I sauteed them until tender. I mixed the tomatoes, peas, and carrots. There is my cheese. I have about 12 slices there. I may not use all of them. There is my melted butter, and I'm going to use about 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce in the ground beef, and I'm going to stir that up. Okay, about the mashed potatoes. I used the recipe calling for 8 servings, or that was designed for 8 servings, and I found that if I had used all of the mashed potatoes it called for, they would have been too thick. Okay, I didn't use almost a cup of what is required in the recipe. Okay, and you want them to be kind of thin because they need to spread evenly, okay, over the shepherd's pie. And if they're too thick, that's going to be hard to do. So what I do is I bring the water to a boil and then I pour the mashed potatoes in slowly, okay, and I stir and stir and stir as I'm pouring them in. And this keeps me from getting the mashed potatoes too thick, and it also keeps them well blended. Okay, so now I'm going to start the layering process. This is going to be really difficult, okay? So you guys just bear with me. You know, I'm going to really be at a strain to do all this. But anyway, I'm going to mash these flat, the onions and ground beef. And then I'm going to start the layering process with the cheese. All right? So I'm just going to start putting cheese on top of the ground beef and onions. Okay? And I may have to go to the fridge for some more. I don't know. And I find myself having to break the cheese up, okay, in order to get everything fully covered. And you know, there's no really precise way to do that. You just break it up, and you know, so it's looking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe maybe 7 slices here on the bottom, so I may actually need like 13 or 14 slices of cheese. And so anyway, we're just going to kind of lay it out like that and just kind of try to cover the beef. And now we're going to add this mixture. Okay, so here we go. Alright. Oh, that was hard. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to take a long nap after this. Okay, and I'm going to spread this out evenly. Alright. And then on top of this is going to be a layer of cheese. Okay, so just hang in there and be patient, alright? And I have the oven preheated to 350, by the way, because this is going to get popped in the oven. Okay, here we are with some more cheese. There we go. See, we have it laid out like that. It looks like I'm going to have to break up some cheese. Just kind of fold it in half and tear it or whatever. And looks like I'm going to have enough. I might need just like one more slice. Okay, and now that's all filled in. As you can see, I've done an expert job. Okay, now it's time to lay down the mashed potatoes. Alright, and this again, this is going to be very difficult, but I'm going to give it a stir. Alright, and then here we go. Just going to plop that right in the middle like that. Alright, and I'm going to spread them out from the center out to the edges. Oh my goodness, this is so difficult. I'm getting tired. Okay. And then now it's time for the butter part. All right. And let's see here. Here's the butter. All right. I'm just going to kind of pour that on there. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of spread it around. You might have some come over the sides or whatever. That's okay. You can clean it up later, but this is what's going to keep your mashed potatoes from getting burnt in certain areas. It'll kind of protect them and also give this dish a marvelous flavor. All right. And as I said before, real butter, no margarine. Margarine is blasphemy where I come from. All right, now here we go. And we're going to take this and pop it in the oven on the center rack. You usually want to use the center rack when you are cooking, when you are baking. There are some exceptions, but center rack, here we go. And we're going to bake this probably for about 20 minutes. And stay tuned, I'll be right back. Okay folks, here is the shepherd's pie all baked. It was in the oven about 20 minutes. And as you can see, it's not burnt on top. The butter protected it. The pot is a little full here, or the pan, I'm sorry. You could cut the volume by using a half can peas and carrots and a half can of tomatoes. That might make some difference, and maybe even just a half of a small can of the corn. I think I used an 8-ounce corn and a 14-ounce peas and carrots and a 14-ounce tomato. So, you know, you could experiment with that to cut the volume down if this is, you know, too much for you, if you think it's going to spill over or something like that. But basically, shepherd's pie is not an exact science. You can use many ingredients. I'm looking forward to the Impossible burger meat coming out in stores so that I could maybe substitute the ground beef with the Impossible hamburger meat. I'd like to try that. You could use chicken, you could use turkey, you could use just about any kind of meat in here. It doesn't have to be ground. It could be shredded, it could be chunked, whatever. But shepherd's pie is, well, it's just that. You could even use lamb. That's the original meat that's used in shepherd's pie. And you're going to allow this to sit and cool for about 30 minutes before cutting into it. And it's not very scientific. You just take a spatula or some kind of scoop or something like this and just scoop out what you want, put it in your plate and enjoy it. And I hope you try this recipe, and I hope you like it. And leave comments below, and the ingredient list will be below. As you can see, I've cut into the shepherd's pie, and there was a lot of moisture in there, and I just took a ladle and I got it out. And so that will make for easier slicing and just a nicer presentation. And that's just an extra little step that I do. You can if you want. If you don't have to. You could even take paper towels and sop up that extra moisture that came out of that first floss. And so, but anyway, I did taste it. It was delicious. You'll just have to take my word for it. And I hope you enjoyed this recipe. And if you try it and you like it, please comment below. And as I said before, the ingredient list will be below this video. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.